Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. This is Binging Books with Brie. I'm Brie. If you're new here, I do book reviews, I do just reading challenges, I also do like planner stuff as well, because I love my plum paper planner and I just think it's relaxing to watch other planner videos, and I figured it's cool to see what people can do with different planners and give you good ideas on how to optimize the chaos in your own life. We're in a bit of a different setting. I just moved with my husband into an apartment, so it's been a little bit of chaos. I'm in the middle of doing the 24-hour reading challenge video and getting that more set up. I believe we're at like 10 hours now. I probably would have been done, but because the last 2.5 days have been completely dedicated to moving, and then it was my husband's 21st birthday, so it was just like a lot going on. But anyways, in this video, I'm going to review Girl Forgotten. The first book to this is Pieces of Her, and I read that a couple years ago, and it was like 800 pages, and I was like, I don't want to have to reread that to like then read this one, because I knew I had other books to read as well. If you haven't seen my other videos, my husband challenged me, which he was like, maybe I shouldn't have challenged you, but he challenged me to read all of my TBR before I can buy a new book, which, like, it's fair. We have a lot of different expenses, and just like with moving and everything, we're discovering what we don't have, what we kind of need to get, what furniture is working, what furniture is not working, just different things like that. And so I said, okay, fine, that's fair. Well, he's like, you've already read 4 books and you were sick for 2 of the 4 weeks of July. I was like, yeah. So anyways, Girl Forgotten, I just ended up watching Pieces of Her while I was sick to review, because I knew I wanted to get into this one fairly quickly after that. It's on Netflix. It's not 100% accurate to the book, but no series or movie that they do based off of books ever is, or at least I haven't found one that is. If you know of one that's completely accurate, comment it down below, because I want to know. Anyways, this book, I loved it. I'm gonna give it a 4-star though, because I was very uncomfortable reading like 90% of it. And the reason why I say that is because there's not many likable characters in it, and like the whole premise is around this girl, Emily, who turns out to be pregnant but has no memory of how that could have even happened, and this is in years past. Well, in Pieces of Her, Andy's dad was essentially like a cult leader, and so she got this case that has to do with her dad before he switched his name. And so it was just wild seeing Emily's friend group and how they treated her after they found out, and just like everyone was trying to figure out who did it, who was the dad. A lot of them were trying to cover up their butts. There was a creepy teacher. Like, there was just a lot of suspects and a lot of like dark and heavy just dark and heavy topics discussed. So I would just say, like, trigger warning wise, obviously she doesn't remember how she got pregnant, so there's that to it, but also just like I'd say gore and verbal abuse are probably up there. It was a really good book. It definitely entrapped me. I wanted to know who did it. I had so many theories of my own. I was very shocked at the ending, and you know I love a good plot twist by now if you've seen my other videos. But because I was just like, this is disgusting so many different times, I'm gonna have to give it a 4, because I wouldn't recommend this to a friend unless I knew they had a very strong like mental separation from some of these topics. when it comes to reading and knowing it's a fictional story type of thing, because it's just very hardcore, because the whole point of the case is like Emily Vaughn turns up dead and they're trying to figure out who killed her. And so when you're thinking about it, this is a high school teenage girl who doesn't remember how she got pregnant, and then she turns up dead. So like, it's heavy. It was really good though. I loved getting to follow Andy into more of her journey from the last book. It was really interesting to see her growth from her trauma, because I will say pieces of her was definitely up there with the whole gore and violence and verbal abuse and even abuse in general. But I just think that there was like a different tone to this one that was more like, it made my stomach turn more. And I think that's just because, like, in the first book, it was very cultish, and, like, obviously in a cult, there's abuse, whether that's verbal, financial, physical, all the different things, which are horrible. But this took it a step further with, like, a young teenage girl in high school not remembering what happened, and basically the whole town turning on her, because this case was, I can't remember the year, but before, like, it was more common, like, teen pregnancies were more common, and it was very, very, very frowned upon, which I still believe it is to this day, but I think, like, back then it was way worse. Like, the repercussions were way worse. Like, in the book, you'll see everyone's like, I didn't do it, I'm not marrying you, because that was the culture back then, and I feel like the culture now is, if that does happen, it's astonishing when the guy does decide to marry, you know, and like those types of situations, because back then that's just what you did. Like, if you knew the father, you got married. So it's just very, very interesting. It was very, very heavy, I will say, but it was so good. It was so intriguing. Like I said, it starts out a little slow. I will say, here's another reason why I'd give it 4 stars. The chapter lengths are so long. Like, let me see if I can give an example. Hold on. I just, like, don't want to pass the chapter. Okay. So in the beginning, they just do a date, but so present day, and then it says chapter 1. That starts on page 22. And then the chapter any day now. My fingers can move fast enough. I just don't want to accidentally skip the end of the chapter. The chapter doesn't even end, because it doesn't say 2. It just goes to another date at page 68. And so you're still going. Anyways, I'm at page 105 and I haven't made it to chapter 2. Anyways, so with that being said, I think it is definitely fascinating seeing, like, Clayton and his personality in this book, and then seeing how it translates to pieces of her, because it's just very fascinating. Like, I don't know, I love the psychology behind cult leaders, and it always feels so wrong to say, like, oh, I love serial killer stories, and it's not because of what they did, it's just, like, what in their mind, like, got them to that point. Was it something, like, some family trauma? Like, okay, we know, like, the clear signs of a serial killer, like, early on is killing animals and everything like that, but it's like, but what makes a human think like that or desire that? That's what I find fascinating. I find the psychology behind it fascinating. I almost went into psychology and I was like, there's too much I could do with this degree that I feel like I would just get stuck and not end up using it. But I think it's very fascinating, and it's very psychological, and just, like, be in the right headspace before you read it. that's what I would say about it. If you have any other book recommendations, comment them down below. When I do finally finish my TBR, I'll be able to check into them and potentially read some of them. I will see you guys in the next video, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye!